everyone, welcome to History Today's News. Our top story today was colonialism really beneficial or did it bring more harm than good? Colonialism is one of the most significant events in history because it has shaped the political, economic and social development of many countries. It refers to a system where a foreign power takes control of another country or territory to serve its own political and economic interests. Although colonialism is introduced modern infrastructure, education system and administrative structures in some colonies, it also reunited the exploitation of natural resources, forced labor and the loss of freedom and rights for local communities. Because of these mixed effects, colonialism remains a complex issue that continues to influence many countries today. So, in today's special news coverage, we will examine whether the colonialism was important and valuable by looking at 5 key aspects, which is the economic, political, social, cultural, and religious impacts. So now, let's move to our first headline.
I'm Nanya, we're reporting on the economic causes of British colonialism in Malaya. Our top story today explains why the British were so interested in Malaya during 19th century. The first reason was the demand of the raw material. After the Industrial Revolution, Britain needed resources to support its growing industry. Malaya was rich in tin and rubber, which were highly valuable. Tin was used in manufacturing and metal industries, while rubber became essential for producing vehicle tires. As demand increased, Malaya became one of the world's largest rubber producer. The second reason was Malaya's strategic location. Situated between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, Malaya became an important trading hub. To strengthen their trade network, the British took control of major ports such as Penang, Malacca, and Singapore. Singapore later became known as a gateway to Southeast Asia, connecting trade between Europe, India, and East Asia. The final reason was market expansion. Besides supplying raw material, Malaya also became a market for British manufactured goods. Britain imported cheap resources from Malaya, produced finished goods, and sold them back to the colonies for a higher profit. To conclude, economic factors were the main reason for British colonialism in Malaya. The countries that rich with natural resources, strategic trade routes, and growing market made it highly valuable to British and support the growth of its economy and industry.
Our next headline focuses on the political factors behind colonialism. Before we begin, let me ask you another important question. Why would one country travel thousands of kilometers just to control another country? Was it really about helping the local people? Historical evidence show that the answer is no. Most of the time, colonialism was driven by the desire for power, security, and political interests. Our first headline is the expansion of political power. During the colonial era, European countries such as Britain, France, and the Dutch competed to expand their influence around the world. At that time, the more countries a country owned, the more powerful and prestigious it was considered. This competition encouraged them to conquer new territories, including Malaya. Moving to our second headline, strategic location and security. Many colonies were chosen because they were located along important sea roads, had natural ports, and were major trade centers. Malaya was especially valuable because of its strategic location in Southeast Asia. By controlling Malaya, the British could protect trade routes, strengthen their military position, and increase their political influence in the region. Our third headline is the weakness of local governments. Conflict between local rulers and political instability made it easier for colonial powers to interference. At first, they claimed they wanted to restore the peace and stability, but eventually, they took direct control of the administration. As a result, local rulers gradually lost their authority and the people lost the right to govern themselves. The next headline is the divide and rule policy. The British maintained their control by separating different ethnic groups according to their job and settlements. For example, the Malays worked mainly in agriculture, the Chinese in mining and business, and the Indians on rubber plantations. This reduced the unity among the local population and made it more difficult for them to unite against colonial rule. Our fifth headline is the introduction of Western administrative and legal system. The British introduced Western administrative and legal system to make governing the colonies easier. Although this brought improvements such as more organized bureaucracy and legal system, it also weakened the traditional system of governance. In fact, some elements of Malay's modern political administrations today are still influenced by the colonial system. Finally, our last political headline is preventing rival powers from gaining influence. Colonial powers wanted to prevent rival countries from taking control of strategic territories. They feared that if they did not colonize this area first, other European powers would do so. Therefore, colonialism became an important strategy to protect their political influence and national security.
On a religious factor, religion was a powerful driver of colonialism, serving as both a tool for social control and a moral justification for foreign domination. European power actively deployed Catholic and Protestant missionary societies as major agents of cultural imperialism. These missionaries aimed to convert indigenous population to Christianity, believing the adopting Western faith would make the locals more civilized and easier for the colonial government to manage. Importantly, specific religious ideas during this era were manipulated to support racial thinking and pseudo-scientific racism. Religious views on human origins were divided into two main theories: monotheism, which suggested that all humans share a common reason for Adam and Eve, and polygenism, which argued that different races had entirely different origins. Polygenism was heavily used by colonizers to justify discriminatory attitudes and construct a strict social hierarchy. By using these religious integrations to frame why European as a superior race, they established a moral excuse to exploit indigenous people, legitimize colonial governments. Last but not least, in the context of Malay states, this religious agenda was clearly visible during successive foreign occupation of Malacca when the Portuguese conquered Malacca. They aggressively replaced local Islamic law and the Hukum Kalim Malacca with Christian regulations, deploying large number of missionaries to baptize thousands of locals. Later, when the Dutch took over, they institutionalized Protestantism as the official religion to align the territory's administrative dominance with their own interests. Ultimately, this strategic manipulation of religions altered tradition, social hierarchies, and local identities, leaving behind a complex legacy that still influenced the social political dynamic of modern Malaysia.
Next, I'm back to reporting on the social factors that lead to British colonialism in Malaya. Besides the economic reason, the British also used a social idea to justify their control over Malaya. The first factor was civilization. The British claimed they came to modernize Malaya by introducing English education, better laws, and Western culture. They opened schools such as Penang Free School and Malacca High School. However, this was also a strategy to gain the trust of the local people and strengthen British rule. The second factor was westernization and education. The British established missionary schools, built hospitals and public buildings, and educate the children of the local students. Some students were even sent to Britain. After returning, many accepted British value, making it easier for the British to govern the country. The final factor was the white man burden. The British believed that white people were superior and had the duty to rule and civilize other nations. They use this belief to justify their colonial rules and claim that their control will benefit the local people. In conclusion, social factors such as civilization, Western education, and the white man burden were used by British to justify and strengthen their colonizations of Malaysia. Through this idea was presented as helping society. They mainly serve to make British rules easier and more effective.
For now, I will be presenting the effect of colonialism in Malaya. British colonialism changed Malaya in many ways, especially in the economy, society, and culture. Some changes helped the country's development, while others created problems that still affect Malaysia today. First is the economic effect. The British developed the rubber and tin industry, making Malaya one of the world's biggest exporters. They also built roads, railways, and ports to transport goods more easily. To meet the demands for workers, many Chinese migrants worked in tin mines, while Indian migrants worked on rubber plantations. Although the economy grew, it mainly benefited the British. Next is the social effect. The British introduced hospitals, clinics, and public health programs to control diseases like malaria and cholera. This improvement helped people live healthier and become the foundation of Malaysia's modern healthcare system. However, healthcare was not equally because town and important economic areas receive better services than rural areas. Finally, the culture effect. During British rule, Islam remained under the authority of Malay rulers. This helped strengthen Islamic identity among the Malay community. However, the British limited Islam's role in politics and government. Even so, Islam continued to be an important part of Malay culture and identity. So, we finally come to the end of our discussion. As we can see, colonialism actually happened because of money, power, culture, and religion. While it brought some development, it also caused exploitation, inequality, and long-lasting effects that many countries still experience today. To close this up, we need to remember that by understanding this reason, it helps us to understand history better and see how it continues to shape our world. That's all from us. Thank you for your attention and time.